Why is it that the shamanic use of plant medicines is always paired with music? What is it about melody, rhythm, and the use of the voice that works so well for healing trauma and seeing past our self-imposed delusion? And why does the world need this now more than ever? Remember to smash the like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, share this out far and wide, and take this microdose of infinity, because we're about to go deep. Welcome back to Waking Infinity Microdoses. I want to thank you guys so much for taking this very important deep dive in talking about healing through psychedelic medicines and why it matches so nicely with song. So maybe you've heard the Peruvian shamans of the Amazon that use ayahuasca, and they consistently sing these what are called icaros to the rhythm of a palm frond rattle. Or perhaps in North America, you've heard the fast-paced drumming and the chanting in a teepee that accompanies a peyote ceremony. All the way from the African Bwiti religion that used polyrhythmic music to accompany Iboga ceremonies, to the slower, kind of more sad singing of the Maria Sabinas in the Mazatec tradition under the guidance of the niños, or the little mushrooms, the psilocybin mushrooms. What is really replete throughout all these is the use of the voice and the use of music to drive that physical medicine into the psychological root of trauma. So, there is something quite special about the use of the human voice. Each voice is as unique as our fingerprint. The vocal cords have this Mother Mary shape to them, but they just produce the buzzing, really. It's actually the throat, the nasal cavity, and the mouth that produce the nuances of the voice, and those are particular to every single individual. So as we learn more about the epigenetic effects of taking psychedelics under safe settings and the linguistic effects on DNA, we'll come to understand a little bit more about how music and the use of the voice are very integral to healing. There's this thing called Zipf's law. It's a mathematical equation to show that all natural languages follow a similar pattern. By applying Zipf's law to music, it is found that music actually seems to be another natural language of its own. And when this law is applied to DNA codes, it too was found to have embedded within it a natural language. So if music is a language, this is very interesting. Think about most language. For the most part, you're sending very intellectual and heady information to somebody else, and you're reaching them right around here in their heady intellectual center. But music reaches deeper down the spinal column, actually, usually in the gut, in the heart, sometimes in the sexual organs, and it moves you in a more emotional and even sometimes a primal way. I believe this is because music is a language that speaks a little bit older back into our history. So the interesting thing is, as psychedelics are shown to help, in a sense, dredge up a lot of the trauma that we may have accrued somewhere buried and embedded in our psyche during childhood, it's actually being shown, even like the National Institute of Health is now taking a look at the hypothesis that psychedelics can help actually change our generational trauma coming from our parents, grandparents, and potentially beyond. We know from a study out of the Netherlands after World War II that the effects of famine on one generation created an impact on the genetic expression of their grandchildren. Even coming out of the National Institute of Health, the NIH, ayahuasca and other plant medicines are hypothesized to impact epigenetic gene expression. Meaning, when we hear about the Great Reset coming out of the World Economic Forum, perhaps the greater reset will be that of neutralizing much of the generational trauma that has been handed down to us. I really do think that the next 10 years, from 2021 all the way to 2030, 2031, we're going to see such monumental shifts in the economy, in the workforce, in just paradigms of how we travel, how we work, how we socialize with one another. There are going to be so many changes that a lot of people are going to be forced through an awakening process that many of us who chose to go down to the Amazon or chose to get into meditation, chose to awaken somehow, We experienced it because we wanted to. Many people these days are going to experience it because they have to. This is going to create an awakening process that I believe many people are not ready for. I think this is why people like myself and others who started awakening at least a decade ago are here. We're here to hold space for the millennials that are experiencing a lot of issues coming of age in an era where it seems like the economy is just tanking. It seems like there is no bright, hopeful future for us. Even out of the Atlantic, there's this article that says recent research shows that millennials, people born roughly from 1981 to 1996, are more likely to die prematurely from suicide and drug overdoses than previous generations were. This is really why I do this news show. I don't really even care for the news, to be perfectly honest for you. I do this as a way to show that all of the daily things that seem to come up, that get people all riled up, I'm trying to show that, yes, you can glean a little bit of small t truths from the news. But the bottom line is it's not about the information that's out there. It's about how we filter it through a skill that we've learned. And that skill is usually something that has to do with the center of who we are, the character that we wish to bring to our every waking breath. And the reason why I do this news show is to show you there are ways that we can help filter all of this information in this information age through our skill sets to better relate not only to other people out there, but to the world. This is why I believe we really need to be using our voices. Cancel culture is out there. They are canceling people left and right for using their voice and speaking up for what they care about. Now, as much as this is a danger, people losing their YouTube pages, people losing their Facebook pages, losing a lot of things that they've spent a lot of time to build up, guess what? That's just life. We think things are permanent and then they're not. We need to wake up to that fact as well. But as we get canceled because we use our voice authentically, and that's what I'm hoping we do more, is not just polarize each other more, but use our voice authentically. The challenge will be not to create enemies out of those who have canceled us, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Dorseys, all of these CEOs and people who we think are the enemy. Not to make enemies out of them, but to show them, listen, you want to cancel us, you're just going to force us to step into our ingenuity and produce more of the solutions. So in a sense, thank you for pushing us into this independence, like a parent pushes a child out the door and says, here's the real world, check it out for a while. If you really need me, come on back. This is how we can say thank you to the people who I believe are causing much of the issues. They're not standing in their power correctly, but we can't simply wait for other people outside to change the world for us to live inside of a utopia. We need to engage with the world. We're not just spectators anymore. That is why I think this is the most exciting time in history. We need to use our voice. But here's the next step. Don't just use it intellectually. Sing it. And I don't just mean that in a proverbial sense. I mean literally. Sing it. Why not? It might sound strange, but doesn't the whole world seem a little strange right now? Why not use your voice in a way that actually challenges people's preconceived notions of how we're supposed to communicate?
Which side of history will you participate?
That's my news and I'm sticking with it. Thank you all for taking this microdose of infinity with me. And if you guys really want to learn how to develop your voice and use it in a way that can show your soul and show your heart and really start stepping into your power, then I'll check you over at the benjosephstewart.com deeper dive section or become a patron on Patreon. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys next time on Waking Infinity Microdoses.